Chapter 2 has 3 parts. This is part 2 of 3. Once the problem has been defined and the operational definitions have been selected, the next or second step in our research project is reviewing literature that would seem useful for our research topic. By exploring scholarly studies and information, researchers have the means to refine the problem under study. It also sheds light on possible techniques for collecting data in order to eliminate or reduce avoidable mistakes. For the sake of our research, we will be looking at studies that provide information about salaries for different occupations, and if jobs that require more in-depth education and training are better rewarded. A benefit of conducting literature reviews provides wider and deeper prospects of factors pertaining to the research focus, which can build stronger studies. Through these additional investigations, an increased possibility of redefining factors can emerge due to a different perspective applied. It is apparent in our research project, after completing our lit review, that years of schooling is not the only relative factor. Other factors that affect earning potential included available resources. It was discovered that a number of research studies reported that wealthier families were more likely to send their children to college than lower income families. It's not surprising that the likelihood of further studying will increase after the discovery of factors such as these. Combinations of findings are apparent common motives for future research studies. Now that we have defined the problem, completed our literature review, we are ready to face step 3 of our research project, which is formulating a hypothesis. A hypothesis is an exploratory statement about the relationship between 2 or more factors known as variables. A variable is something that has measurable traits and can change when placed in different conditions or situations. A hypothesis used in a research study typically must present how one feature of human behavior influences or affects another. We can see this in the hypothesis used in our research method, which states the higher one's educational degree, the more money one will earn. We have created an influence or cause and effect between 2 variables. The higher a person's educational level, the more money they will earn. The variable that's identified as the independent variable is the educational level. This has the capability of influencing the other identified variable, which is known as the dependent variable, or the level of money earned. In other words, the independent variable is just that, independent. Its potential is not dependent on the other variable. It will not be affected by the other variable. The dependent variable, on the other hand, will. Its potential depends on the effect of the other variable. It's important to note that a hypothesis purpose is to identify the causal link between variables, which is a correlation. A correlation is apparent when a change in one variable corresponds with a change in the other variable. Correlations are signs that causality may be present. They do not necessarily indicate causation. The correlation in our research hypothesis questions whether the independent variable of higher education correlates or affects the dependent variable of earnings. Let's review. Our research project currently has defined a problem, created operational definitions, completed a literature review, and developed a hypothesis. It looks like we are ready to test our hypothesis by choosing a research design that will allow us to see if it is supported or proven to be false. It's important to note that even if our findings are proven to be false, this does not mean that our research project has failed. Remember, a research project's goal is about gathering information in a scientific manner, which focuses on validity and reliability. A research design will typically include a sample, which is basically a selection from a larger population that is statistically representative of that population. There are several types of samples, but a random sample is considered the most common. Random samples offer a chance for every member of a studied population to have the same opportunity of being selected. There are times when it may be challenging to gather subjects for a research project due to the subject matter being studied. Subjects such as highly educated females involved in physically abusive relationships or children from a family with same-sex parents are examples of difficult samples. Snowball or convenience samples may be the only means of creating a sample which recruit through word of mouth or possibly posting notices on the internet. Another means of selecting a sample is done by randomly selecting subjects from an already established sample collected through reliable and consistent means, such as the Bureau of Census, which surveys thousands of households across America. As I am sure you have discovered, all parts previously mentioned of the scientific method have a common goal, which is to provide information that is both valid and reliable. In general, validity is an indication of how sound your research is. More specifically, validity applies to both the design and the method of your research. Validity in data collection means that your findings truly represent the phenomenon you are claiming to measure. Valid claims are solid claims. If we apply this to our research project, we can see how validity can play a big role in whether our findings are accurate or not. If our design and methods display the use of proper steps of gathering accurate information, we have created valid means toward building our research on reliable information, which in this case is earned income and educational levels. If questions presented through surveys or interviews are unclear, and the sample does not understand the question's intentions completely, the questions present a risk of responses being unreliable. Reliability refers to the extent to which a measure produces consistent results. This is the end of part 2 of 3. Be sure to continue on to part 3.